5 indigenous evangelical houses burned down by Catholics in Mexico. In Chiapas, Mexico, in Mitzitón, Mexico, local authorities and traditionalist Catholics burned down 5 indigenous Tzotzil evangelical houses. The properties belonged to Pastor Alejandro Jiménez Jiménez and his sons. In January 2020, they were expelled from Mitzitón after being accused of building an evangelical temple. The incident happened when the pastor was detained for an hour after returning to the municipality to visit his ill mother. The leader of Alas de Águila, Esdras Alonso González, explained that the expulsion of Jiménez happened because of the local Catholic traditionalists thought he was building a temple. In reality, he was just building a home for himself. Gonzalez condemned the crime and further explained that around 180 houses of evangelical families had been destroyed in Mitzitón since 1982. So I wanted to cover this story today because this was my first time hearing about the evangelical persecution in Mexico. And this led me down a rabbit hole of learning about this persecution that happens in this region today. And I wanted to talk about it. I was like, Catholics burning down people's homes? Like, I haven't heard about something like that in maybe ever. So I thought it was important to highlight. Let's hear what you guys think about this first.
Comment, though, from somebody who it looked like they're from Mexico.
You're muted.
Oh, you just muted.
Oh,
you muted yourself.
There was a comment from someone named Peter, and I just wanted to, sadly, we have right-wing Christian intolerant gang wars with extremists, right-wing. Oh, I thought he was with extremist Muslims. Okay,
okay, so I think they're just saying they're comparing these people to Muslim extremists. I just want to highlight the fact that in the private group, and I can't show those comments because Atheist Republic has a public page on Facebook with 2,400,000 followers, but also a private group with I think 85,000 members, which is also
over 80. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And in the private group, I must say, we can't highlight those because we can't highlight anything in the private group, but we got some really nasty comments supporting this behavior just simply because these are religious institutions. Like, I want to use this as an opportunity to highlight disgusting behavior on not just from atheists, but from atheists within Atheist Republic, right? Members of Atheist Republic's private group were celebrating this and saying no problem with it. And I just think, like, we need to, whenever we see something like that, we have to use it as an opportunity to not be hypocrites. Don't just shine a light on, problematic behavior or views within religious institutions or groups. But if you see something disgusting within your own, not just ideological side, but within your own group that you created, I think you should take every opportunity to mention people that you've seen it and you notice it, and you don't shy away from highlighting it. It's absolutely disgusting that we have atheists within Atheist Republic that think that this was a good behavior because it just happened to be religious houses. Rivka, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so several of the news items that we've talked about have something to do with the legal system or law or the standards at which things are held, under the law. And so I just want to point out again the irrationality of people. So this is obviously against the law, whether you like them or dislike them, whether authorities participated in it or not. I don't know the laws of Mexico, but I would bet money that deliberately setting a and burning down a building is probably against the law. So the reason I'm bringing this up is it shows the tribalism and the emotionality with which people address issues. And that's why it's important to discuss the fact that we live in a world where there's nations of laws, not of men, and that means humanity. But that's the saying, nations of laws, not of men, because humans are fallible, and so is the law, but humans are fallible in a way that the law isn't. They're emotional. They think, well, the law is good when it's applied to the people that I don't like, and bad when it's applied to the people that I do like, etc. They, I don't like this group, so if they commit a crime, I think that's okay. But if someone commits a crime against a group I like, then they should receive this terrible punishment. So I really want to highlight that this is ubiquitous across all kinds of groups and people, that they approach everything with this emotionality and how it's them and what they think or feel or believe, rather than this itself. You can dislike evangelicals all you want, but these people committed a crime against another group of people, and this should not, it's a crime against them, it's a crime against the state. It shouldn't happen, and it's wrong, regardless of who it happens to.
I just want to mention really quickly that I know it's well-meaning, some comments in the live chat, but I'm going to be picky. Okay, that's what I do. Some people say that, I don't like these people, but this is too much. This action is too much. And I just want to think, like, I know that's coming from a good place and it's well-meaning, but to say that I don't like these people, but this is too much, I know you don't mean that, but I don't, what I'm going to describe, I know you don't mean this interpretation of it, but to me, it comes across as something less hostile would be justified. You know what I mean? I don't think you should even hate people for their bad views. Like, you could disagree with them. Like, people's like, oh, I don't like these people. I'm like, why don't you like these people? They might be, these evangelicals might have been the kindest of all people. Like, they might have, I don't know, like, they might have been really good people. Why don't you like them? I mean, they're wrong, okay. Like, why don't you like them? Like, you've never met them. You might have meet some Catholics or Muslims or evangelicals that they might be like genuinely nice humans that you're gonna, maybe if you met them, you would fall in love with them, even though they're wrong, right? So the idea of like, oh, we don't like these people, but this is too much. I'm like, I mean, what do you mean this is too much? Like, you think like some form of lighter hostility would be okay? Like, I don't know. Like, I know, again, I'm being very pedantic. I know that that's not what they mean, but I'm just trying to be picky because we're talking about our own community. No level of hostility, no even level of hate is justified against this group of people, let alone crimes. Susanna, you have your hand up.
Well, it was really interesting. So I had never heard of something like this. So today I was doing some research about this issue, and I was shocked at what I learned. So granted, a lot of what I learned was from evangelical organizations. That was a lot of the media that I was consuming about this, because this was the main people who I could find even talking about this issue. But because I was trying to figure out, like, where is this coming from? Like, why is there an ethnic component to this? And because I'd never heard about something like this nowadays. And I thought it was really interesting. So I think some of the contention comes from the fact that many of the people in these communities of evangelicals are former Catholics, and they are growing their ministry, and they're causing a lot of people to leave Catholicism. When I was watching media from groups that support these communities, they would call themselves the Christians. So they didn't even seem to think of Catholics as Christians. I think some of this has to do with contentions with forms of folk Catholicism that are popular in the region, specifically like how there are some pagan, not even like European pagan, but like native pagan beliefs that have become intertwined with Catholicism to a certain degree in the region, but also they were against like the veneration of saints, which is obviously something that's very important to Catholicism. And they seem to be into faith healing. And faith healing from a Catholic perspective is like pretty blasphemous. That's not something that humans can do. That is only something that you can do through like the intercession of Christ, who you have to be like the level of a saint or like a priest to be able to even do something remotely like that. And the persecution that these people were describing was intense. So some of this seems to go back to as early as the 70s or the 60s. But there are so many documented cases of these families being expelled from their villages. And it seems like there's a lot of judicial harassment that these people go through, where the authorities, they accuse the authorities of basically filing any number of fake cases against them to send them away to prison for years, to the point that a lot of them try to hide the fact that they're evangelical, and that they have to live in the basements of like churches and other areas because they literally can't even go back. Like really, and not, there were just straight up cases of mob lynchings and people being like tortured in ways that I can't even talk about on YouTube. For most of them, well, not most, a lot of them seem to have left Catholicism themselves, or there are some that are from families of generations of evangelicals who are involved in preaching, and the preachers get really hit the hardest with the persecution.
Rivka?
So I think that two things. I want to say one thing to Armin's point about people could be nice people even though you don't agree with their views. And yeah, you can not like someone if they do something, an actual action. So I think that's the thing, paying attention to what people do, not necessarily what they say or believe based on, how you feel about them. But then the other thing I wanted to say about what you were saying, Susanna, is that, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier about tribalism. So it's as if Catholicism, and this particular type of Catholicism, is so much a part of the identity of these people that even the authorities feel this way, like it's, a state religion type thing of this view of this region, that anything other than that is seen as a threat. And also these people are poaching their customers. That it's bad enough in a lot of people's mind that someone who doesn't believe what you believe, but okay, you keep to your, a lot of what they say in the Midwest is things like, you go to your church, I'll go to mine, which is sort of, keep to yourself to yourself. But they're not doing that. They're taking Catholics and bringing them to their side. So people are finding it even more of, an affront. And then also another godless atheist made a very good point too, is they're not, the people that leave, that's finances, people that are paying into the Catholic Church, and also the pastors themselves, the churches, all this money that is part of Catholicism to the community. And she was saying festivals and things like, yeah, absolutely. So now they've lost some of their economic base. And that is what can really fire up locals who may not even believe in it, or officials. Because they said in the thing that some of the authorities participated in the arson.
Yeah, I think this is a really good point about the festivals. So over the years, contentions happen around the festivals where there will be, these big celebrations and venerations of saints. That is often sometimes saints are sometimes what's it called, like syncretized with pagan goddesses or etc. And so they would refuse to participate in these festivals, and they would be really persecuted as a result. The Rabid Atheist has a point that I thought was good, coming off of what Rivka was saying. He's saying evangelicalism is on the rise in Latin America and Africa. It is creating fear in the Catholics. My former denominations, the Assembly of God, was growing in these places and causing pushback. So Very good point.
Yeah, absolutely true.
They're losing money. Always a motivator.
All right.
So yeah,
Can we
very
clap?
interesting. I never knew about this issue.
I love how fascinated you are. She's like gets curious about something. Like, we need to discuss this on Atheist Report.
I had never heard of this either, by the way. So thank you. I learned something myself.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Callie, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our blasphemous art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe. Link in the description below.